guys, welcome in. We are making goat milk soap on tonight's live. I'm just getting everything prepped for that. So how are you guys this evening? We're gonna make goat milk soap. Have you guys ever used goat milk soap before? So we do run a small homestead in Northern Virginia where we raise Nigerian dwarf goats, and we use their milk to make our own goat milk soap. So we freeze them into milk cubes, just like this, just regular ice cube trays. And then we use 11 ounces of goat milk cubes to 4.7 ounces of sodium hydroxide. We add our oils, we add our scent, and we add our color if we choose to have color. Thank you so much. Yes, give me some likes, guys. Okay, so we are gonna start here. So I've got my gloves on, of course, because whenever you're making stuff for other people, you wanna make sure that you have your hands protected and clean. And then I've got my eyes protected because the sodium hydroxide is pretty toxic. So again, we're going to use 4.7 ounces of sodium hydroxide. If I miss your questions, I will try to answer them, catch up on them. So you can purchase all of our goat milk soaps and other items on our Etsy store, Danny's Dream Acres. We have a bunch up there now, but what I'm making tonight will not be available for another 4 to 5 weeks. Because it actually takes about 4 weeks for goat milk soap to cure before you can use it. All right, let me catch up on questions before I move on. It's not goat milk soup. Definitely not that. That's so funny. Okay, guys. All right, let's get started. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to get our sodium hydroxide to melt our goat milk cubes. Not goat cubes, but goat milk cubes. And this process takes about 5 to 7 minutes, sometimes a few minutes more, sometimes a few minutes less. And then when we get to the end of this step, we want to see our temperature get cooler, because believe it or not, when you use sodium hydroxide to any liquid, it can get really hot. So this temperature on this will get up to about 82 to 85 degrees. And then we're going to know that we're going to reach the saponification level once it starts to cool down. The temperature will get cooler. And then that's when we know we can add our oils. So a lot of questions are, why can't I just dump this whole thing of sodium hydroxide into my goat milk cubes? Well, if you do that, you're gonna burn your goat milk, and then your soap is going to have a very rancid smell. So it's a slow process, and this is a cold process. I did not mention that. This is called a cold process goat milk soap. So what's the weather like where you guys are from? The milk cubes are frozen. Yes. So we take our milk. I'll show you. So we milk our girls, and then we put it into these jars. We strain it into these jars. And then we have goat milk ice cube trays that we dump the milk into, and we just freeze. Then we unthaw them slightly, dump them into bags, and then save them. And then I pull them out of the freezer to make my soaps. 0 degrees tonight. That sounds like us. We were about, I think we were like 10 last night, but it felt like a -5. It was really, really cold. So, and we have chickens. We have silky chickens, regular chickens. We also have our Nigerian dwarf goats. We have a couple of babies that were born in July, so I always worry about them because they're smaller. They don't have as much fat on their bodies, but everybody seems to be doing well. It's really, really cold. I know Michigan, you guys are used to getting cold, but we are not used to being this cold. And it's been over a week since we've been this cold. So this has been really crazy. And then on top of it, I'm sure you guys in Michigan got that big snowstorm. We got about 7 inches of snow over the weekend. They're calling for us to get more this weekend. I hope we get nothing because it's really paralyzed us here on the farm. It's been crazy. Like I said, Northern Virginia, we're used to some snows, but not like this. Not like this. My second, let's see. Oh, wow. Yeah, I would worry too. Oh my gosh, how do you stay warm? A couple of inches a day, yeah, just yeah. I've grown up in Virginia, Northern Virginia, and I remember having big snows when we were kids, but this has been a little bit extreme. We're all tired of the cold now. I'm ready for spring. Oh man, I'm so sorry. That sounds cold. Now, are you from Michigan also? Are you the one? Yeah, you are from Michigan. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. I hope that you stay warm. It is definitely, today was nicer. I mean, it wasn't warm by any means, but the sun was out, so it made us feel like it was warm. So goat milk soap is really, really good for your skin. It contains, goat milk is the only milk that contains lactic acid, which is very, very, it sounds terrible, but it's very, very good for your skin. So I highly recommend the goat milk soap to people that have very dry skin or even people that have eczema. It's very good for that. Acne, it's great for acne. If you have a teenager that has trouble with their skin for acne, I recommend like our oats and honey or even the unscented. We also have lavender, which is what I'm making tonight. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I'm making lavender goat milk soap tonight. I just made lilac goat milk soap just a minute ago. I was on TikTok and doing a live, and I made lilac. I'll show you guys that one when I get this to a good temperature. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they've been talking about, well, it does have lactic acid, it does, but not at the high content that goat milk does. Goat milk, that's why they recommend goat milk being used for soaps, because the lactic acid is what is really, really good for your skin. Plus, goat milk has a high fat content, so it's really, really good for the milk. For the soap. So where are you guys also, where does everybody else live? Is anybody else local or closer to Virginia? All right, you can see that we're getting the milk cubes melted. They're not in here anymore, but I have to finish using this sodium hydroxide because if I don't, the soap will never cure. It won't harden. When we first started making soap back in, it was like 2021, I believe, when I first started making soap. And I thought, oh, my milk cubes have melted, so I don't need to use the rest of this. So I didn't. It never set. The soap literally stayed it like formed a solid, but it stayed mushy. So we had to throw it out. We let it cure for like 3 months and nothing would happen because it needed the entire amount of sodium hydroxide to get to its hardened phase to be able to use it as a soap. Oh, good. Yeah, so I don't know what breed of goats for goat's milk that you've had, but I myself have never liked goat milk. My mom she raised Alpines and she raised Nubians when we were growing up, and I didn't like the taste of the milk. It had like an off taste, but the Nigerian dwarf goats, since their milk has a very high butterfat content, it doesn't taste goaty at all. In fact, I did a little test on my kids when we first started milking our goats, and my son thought that he had it correct, and I poured some goat milk in one cup and I poured some cow's milk in another cup, and he swore up and down that the goat milk was the cow's milk, and he says, this is disgusting, the cow's milk. I can't stand this. I know this is the goat milk. And he just went crazy about it. Like, this is the goat milk and it's so gross. And I said, okay, well, you just drank the cow's milk. The goat milk was actually the one that you liked. So it was funny. My kids were like, oh my gosh. So yeah, they can't tell the difference. It tastes just like cow's milk. All right, we're going to get a temperature on this. Let's see. Oh, really? I wonder why. That's interesting. Maybe try to find somebody who raises Nigerian dwarf goats and see if it makes it taste a little bit different. Right, we're gonna get a temperature on this. Like I said, we want it to get cooler. We want to see that it's cooling. Once we see the temperature start to going down, then we'll know that we've reached the saponification phase, which is the phase that you need to make soap. That means that it's all mixed well together and it's all one ingredient then, and it's ready to go. It's trying to go down. It's at 82.4 and then it goes to 82.2. So let's stir it for a few seconds more, and then we're going to heat up our oils. All right, let's see. And it appears that it is, yep. All right, we're cooling off now. All right, so we're down to 82 degrees. So I'm gonna heat my oils up in the microwave really quick, so I'll be right back. While that's stewing, I will show you the soap I made earlier. So I did make lilac goat milk soap earlier. I did a live on TikTok. And so this is what it's gonna look like in the mold. So this mold will give me 10 bars of soap. And you can see it's real pretty. It's very pretty. And then you can see on the side what it's gonna look like. So I did a drop swirl effect. It got really, really thick on me. So I just kind of dropped it and then I mixed it in, swirled it in at the top. So yeah, we'll be cutting this probably in about a week, so you'll have to stay tuned. Maybe I'll do a live when we're gonna cut both of these, and you guys can see what they look like, but I think they're gonna be real pretty. You can still feel the heat on this one. So you put them in the freezer because you want them to cool down quickly, since they do get rather hot. Okay, we are using lavender mica, which is very, very safe to use on your skin. So let me get a measuring. We're just going to use a little bit of that. We don't need a whole lot. Here we go. Usually like half a teaspoon. And then we are using the lavender fragrance oil from Brambleberry. This smells really, really good. All right, nice and mixed. Okay, so we are good to go on this. I'm gonna add my oils first to my mica clay because I don't like to just dump the mica clay straight into the mixture. It can get a little bit clumpy, and then you won't get it to dissolve properly. And then I'm gonna add the rest of my oils into my milk mixture. All right, we're gonna give this a quick stir. It's kind of powdery, so you kind of want it to mix in really good. You don't want the clumps. All right. That's going to be a really nice color. Okie dokie. All right, we're going to get out our stick blender, but first we're going to add our scent. And then we're going to add our color. When you're doing it all in one color, it's way easier because you don't have to have separate containers of different colors, which is what I did earlier. That's going to be a really nice color. All right, let's get our stick blender out. Air bubbles out of it. So what we're looking for is I'm looking for it to be, if I pull the stick blender out, I'm looking for it to kind of show me that it's getting thicker, kind of like a pudding. looking good. It's getting kind of thick, kind of like pudding. It's not like super runny. It's kind of falls off of there like in pieces and not like, it's like pudding. It's like pudding before it gets to the really firm stage. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to dump it now into our mold. That smells so good. The lavender always smells really good. I didn't used to like lavender until I started making soaps, and now I think I've just gotten used to it. It smells really good. Okay. Kind of smear it around, make sure it's in all the corners. And then we're going to burp it, which means we're going to bounce it to get the air bubbles out. Not that air bubbles hurt it, but when you cut it, sometimes it'll have like these little teeny tiny little holes, which means that there was some air bubbles in there. You can't get them all out, but we try to get most of them out. Okay, so now we're gonna do our last stage, and we're gonna make like a little design on the top. We're just gonna do like a swoop, kind of like a goat hoof, just to the middle. This one actually set up really nicely. And there we are, we're all done. We have our soap, there it is. And just like that. So now this will sit in the freezer for, like I said, 24 hours. And then we'll take it out and we'll let it sit on the counter in the mold for another day. And then I'll pop it out of the mold and let it sit for usually 2 more days. So usually on about day 5 is when we're cutting it. So I'll probably come back on and do another live of when we're cutting it so that you guys can see what the final look is. But yeah, so there's the lavender. It's very easy. Let me put it in the freezer real quick. There we go. And that's it. All right, guys, thanks for joining me tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed this live. I'll probably come back on later on in the week. Hi, how are you? And we'll be making some other stuff. We'll probably make some magnesium body butter. I know everybody's curious about that. But any of our products are on our Etsy page at Danny's Dream Acres, so you guys can check them out there. Hi, Kaylin. Oh, hi, Kaylin. Hi, honey. So we have all those available, and amongst other things. You are so funny. So now I know what your name is on here. That's good. Well, we're done. We make goat milk soap. Showing everybody how it's done. We made lavender. It smells so good in my kitchen right now. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. Love you, Kaylin. Bye, guys.